Hello, everyone, and welcome to Allianz Joy. I'm excited to be here today, and I hope you are watching. And if you're watching the replay, please reach out as well today. In this episode of Allianz Joy, on this episode, we're going to talk about anxiety, one of the favorite topics for me to talk about because I'm an anxiety expert and I work as a coach with people that are suffering from the symptoms of anxiety. So today I want to give you 5 nuggets, 5 golden tips that will help you battle that anxiety and help you kind of like interfere with it, take a little step back and just get better at it, right? Overall, one of my quotes is, it doesn't get any easier in life, but you get better at it. And that is the same with anxiety. It's something that you can get better at once you start controlling the symptoms and starts controlling your mindset. So welcome today. I hope you are watching. I hope you're gonna get something out of it. So welcome to Win Win Women TV. We are also on Roku. Welcome everyone. We're also on Apple TV. Welcome everyone. And welcome if you are watching on Amazon Fire. I'm very excited to be here. So this is a great platform for us, right? To share and to connect and to collaborate with women all over the world. And I know a lot of men are also watching the replays and watching afterwards the episodes of the shows. I love to give information. My name is Eliane. I am a mindset transformation coach, right? Midlife and transformation coach. But most of the time, I work on your mindset, right? I work on tips and tools, and I'm working on giving you information that might change your thinking a little bit. And some of these things I want to give you today, we have a lot of stuff to go over. And one of the things that I want to talk about with you is the symptoms of anxiety. They're not fun, and it might be all different things, right? It's the stress that comes at you where you start feeling a lot of symptoms, physically, emotionally, of that anxiety coming on. It's a very common sign, just that you're having horrible, intrusive thoughts all the time. You feel maybe that your chest is very tight. You might be irritable. You might fear a lot of things and not really taking the next step into something that is unknown to you. You might cancel plans because you're just not really sure if you can make it through. You might back out of doing the things that you really love to do usually. You might feel that paranoia setting in, and there's just a lot of negative thoughts, right? A loss of appetite, maybe even something, or a loss of sometimes, or a loss of focus, or just memory issues, right? That might also just be age related, like with me, right? If you just not know where you walk into the room and you forgot why you went upstairs to go to that room, oh well, that might just be a little bit, right? Age related. But if it's just going towards where you have negative thoughts all the time and you're slipping into bad symptoms of anxiety and into maybe even depression where you don't want to leave the house, where you think that people don't care, where you do not care anymore about so many things that you actually love, then you're slipping into the signs of anxiety. And that might be for a longer period of time. Can we do something about it? Yes. Is it a lifetime sentence? No. But we just have to do all kind of things. There's many, many things that we can do for anxiety and stress. But if it's anxiety, just really worried about things that are not happening yet and constantly fearing the worst and constantly going to that negative process, then yes, there are things that we can do. And there are a lot of tools and a lot of tips that we can start applying, right, in our own life. In the first place, I want to bring up that if we're going to do something about it, we have to create awareness towards what we're feeling. And this is not always an easy thing to do for everybody. We are not really focused all the time about how to realize that we're slipping into it, right? That we're just really into this constant mode of anxiety, in this constant mode of stress, in this worry mode. You can control it. There's things that you can control around you. If that happens, then we just have to be aware of it in the first place. And if you're aware of things, then you really can start changing your thought process. And that is so important. We have to become aware of the fact that it's happening again, or that we feel it, so that at that moment, we can really start changing our thoughts. So I want to give you some things today that we definitely can do for anxiety. And that is, in the first place, planning ahead. It's very important that you are planning ahead. If you are, for instance, going to make a trip, or you're going on vacation, or you have to make a trip for work, you have to get on an airplane, right? A lot of people don't like that anymore. If you are in a situation that you have to travel by car and it's a long travel, right? It's a long trip. If you are jumping into a new situation at work, if you're going to move, there are so many big transitions in life, even that can throw us overboard and can throw us in this anxiety mood. So what you can do is plan ahead. If you make some really good small steps towards the outcome, towards how you want it to go, then it takes a lot of the pressure off. It takes a lot of the pressure off. So if you're starting to write down things for yourself that are really into your, that you can really visualize how you want it to go, that helps. So you can journal towards the outcome, right? You can visualize a better and definitely positive outcome for yourself. And now sometimes it also helps if you start planning the things around that. And if you actually start planning or making plans with your family towards the outcome of what you want to see, right? Where are you going to be for a while? How are you going to communicate with them if you have to leave people behind? Or how can you say, hey, it's really difficult for me, so I'd rather have, you drive instead of for me to drive. That's difficult. So to communicate all these things that you want to see, we have to plan ahead and communicate the things that we want to see. And if you're overcome by fear, for instance, moving to another town, right, where you don't know anybody and you leave people behind, or if you are again traveling to another place, you have to be there for a while. If you can't really control certain things that really are bringing up negative thoughts, then you can even plan ahead for that. What if something happens to me if I'm traveling and some devastating news happens, right? Or I have to go, something happened to me and I have to go in the hospital for a while, or I can't come home for a while. For those kind of things, if that bothers me, those scary thoughts, I can plan ahead as well. I can make plans that the family will have certain things on paper for me in case something happens to me. In the past, that happened to me a lot. And since I started planning the outcome and even planning a will or planning things that would happen at home while I maybe might be out for a while, or if I have to go to the hospital for a while, if an illness overcomes me, then in case those things happen, I have a plan. And it makes me feel a little bit calmer. It kind of takes the pressure off of not knowing anything. It kind of takes the pressure off just not having control over anything. And if you feel that you can do that, then the best thing is, number one, to plan ahead. It's really important to feel a little bit in control over the things that you cannot control at all, because we have no clue of the outcome, but we can visualize something positive and we can plan in case something happens, and people around us can take care of things as well, right? Really important. So how do we communicate that? How do we have the courage to communicate that, right? That's something that we need to do, and you can write that down. If things are difficult for you, then write it down and see what you want to have, what you want to see, what you want the outcome to be. Visualize a positive, wonderful outcome. It helps. And then you can apply that to your morning meditation, to your morning time, to your morning mindfulness time. You can apply those positive things like, oh, it's so wonderful. When I'm in this new environment, I am going to meet wonderful new people. I am going to get wonderful opportunities to grow and to learn. I'm going to take another course and meet new people. I'm going to make new friends. I'm going to visit another church. I will stay every Wednesday or every Tuesday. I'm going to make it a dedicated day to stay in touch with my family and friends in the place that I leave behind. So those kind of things are very, very realistic, right? The things that you can do for yourself. Number 2, letting go of expectations that other people have and that you have for yourself, right? That you put on yourself. Let go of that for a little bit, because it really puts us into a mindset of constantly have to deliver and constantly have to do something for others and constantly have to run. So if you're letting go of that a little bit, then the outcome is a little bit less, right? Under pressure. There's less pressure on the outcome, right? So if we are a little bit nicer to ourselves and we realize that our anxiety comes from constantly having to please people, constantly have to do something for others, constantly want to be there for others, constantly want to give and help, and even for ourselves, we're just like wanting to be amazing and perfect all the time, right? It is not possible, because it just throws us into a huge state of anxiety, right? Can't keep up with myself. Can't keep up with myself. Can't keep up with you. Nobody can keep up with you. So if that is a little bit too much and it is causing a lot of pressure for you because you want so much, then stop wanting so much. Stop putting that pressure on yourself. Stop wanting so much. And it can just wait till tomorrow. There's so many things that can wait till tomorrow. We just sometimes don't want to see it. We just think that if we have to do everything today, and if we get it done, and if it's all good, and if we get a million things done, then we feel accomplished. But sometimes we feel more overwhelmed than accomplished. So that doesn't really work out all the time, right? We just have to once in a while let go a little bit. And if other people expect us to do amazing things and miraculous things, maybe we can do that next week. And that brings me to point number 3. In that case, that you don't want to live up to all these expectations, and you don't want to challenge yourself so much, and you don't want to be so tough on yourself. Number 3, you have to say no. You have to set boundaries. And if we set boundaries, then we can make this nice framework for ourselves where we know that we will be more balanced. Boundaries are very important, right? You can just practice setting boundaries by being more clear in the first place to yourself, finding out what you do not need and what you can let go of, and what you do not need to say yes to all the time, so that you free up time for yourself. Because that stress and anxiety comes many, many times with the overload of responsibility that we take on, because we want to do so much. We expect that we can do so much of ourselves, right? So if we're going to be more clear about what kind of boundaries, number 3, saying no, setting boundaries, we can create, then we can get a clear message on what our limitations are, right? If you're consistent with that, with boundaries, I talked about boundaries the whole week on Facebook as well, and on social media in very short little clips. We have to be a little bit more clear on what our boundaries are. And if you do so, then you get better at that clarity communication. You get better at clear communication. You can every time say, this is not something for me. I don't need to be there this time. For instance, social, right? Do you need to run everywhere? Do you need to be everywhere? Do you need to attend everything? No, you don't, because maybe you're just putting too much on yourself. And maybe you can step away a little bit, right? Physical boundaries, right? Maybe you need to tell people to kind of just, you don't like it if they touch you, or it feels not so good if they're really close in your space. Maybe you need to communicate that and be very clear about it. And then in that case, that if you have set those boundaries, if you find those limits for yourself, you feel a relief. And then from there on, you just need to be consistent with those boundaries, because then people start respecting you for it. And people start understanding that. In the beginning, it's like, she said no. What in the world? She never said no, right? She's not even showing up anymore. What is the matter? But nothing is the matter. I just was very clear. I communicated with clarity that I needed to have those weekends for myself instead of for the family. I just had a client that said, oh, I just always have to do this and that in the weekends. And I just don't want to do that in the weekends. I just want to have a weekend for myself, but they expect me to be here on Saturday and they expect me to do that on Sunday. And maybe it's better if of course, I'll help you with that, to find a way to say that really nice and to say, hey, just not now, but maybe later, right? To communicate and be consistent with what your needs are and how you communicate that, setting those boundaries. Ultimately, you get respect for it, right? You'll establish some norms there with that consistency. You know, so you have a standard that tells people how you would like to be treated, right? And over time, people will really understand where you're going with that and why you're so happy all the time, right? Because you have boundaries. And so in that case, it is very, very good for your personal well-being that you have set those boundaries. Much better to say sometimes, no, thank you. I don't need that right now. I love you, but it's better for me that I don't take that right now. It's better for me that I don't do that right now. I love you so much, and I will do that next time with you. But this time I have an appointment with myself, or I have other plans, right? It is okay to communicate in a nice way that you don't want to be there. We can do that in a very nice way. And if you are consistent with that, ultimately, you're going to reduce that confusion. You're going to reduce the people think, oh, man, sometimes she says no, and sometimes she says yes, and I don't know what she wants. And then at some point, if you just are consistent with the limitations that you set for yourself, the norms and limitations, the boundaries, then if you're more consistent, then people start seeing that it's always the same and better for your health. Absolutely better for your health. So it will empower you to take care of yourself. And that is so important. Number four, right? In the morning, we want to start a ritual. Morning rituals are very important to prevent anxiety during the day. If we are taking more time in the morning for ourselves and we are creating a little time for sanity, right? For mindfulness, a little time to come into maybe be one with nature, or just come inside a little bit and come into that attitude of gratitude, or maybe say a big prayer, right? Sometimes I do exercises with my clients to draw a vision board and to really draw on there what you would like to see the outcome to be, right? Or sometimes we do journaling. Journaling is amazing. Journaling was a good tool for me to get through trauma and grief and get through the past. It was really helpful. Sometimes it helps if we say affirmations. If we are writing down something amazing about ourselves that we have to start believing in. Maybe we are suffering from some limited beliefs that we are not good enough or not worthy. That's something for another show, right? But if we have those limiting beliefs, if we take that morning time and we do those affirmations, then you can say and write on the wall or stick it on the inside of your medicine cabinet, right? You can say, I am in a very good place today. Or I am going to find an amazing job today, right? Or I am going to do something with somebody else that makes me feel really good. I am good. Respect myself. I am valuable. These affirmations are really important. And if you can repeat them, your mind starts picking up on that. Your mind remembers, so that you're not so much into the negative thinking mode, but more into the yay, I am amazing mode. And that's where we want to go. And so the last thing here is, let's try to accept the things that are. Let's try to accept the things that are. It is really difficult to accept, but there's only two things to it. If you have problems, right? If you see big mountains ahead of you, if there's nothing that you can do about it, it is what it is. Then it's easier that we can accept the fact that we're going to have to climb that mountain and that we have to overcome. And if you can do something about it, great. Find a solution. Those are the only two things, right? We see this huge mountain, there's huge, huge, huge things coming at us. I mean, it looks really big. Let's go back to that client that had to move into another job, right? And she had been in her comfort zone all her life. And I told her, I said, if you are in this comfort zone, it's always been really comfortable, safe place, right? Good for you. People are respecting you the way things have been, right? The things that you have done, what you did contribute. But if you start just seeing it different, instead of going into a new place that is scary, right? Because she had been at her old job for 20 years. So coming into a new place is really scary. But if we see it as making new contacts and growing, making new connections, the people are going to respect me, they're going to see me and value me for what I do and deliver, what I've always done. That is a difficult thing to see sometimes, because we just get overwhelmed by the fact that it's all new. But if we can just overcome and make some changes for ourselves in a sense of, right? We're going to predict an outcome. I said to her, what would you like to see? How can you make it a little bit easier for yourself? For instance, create a little safe space. If your safe space is your desk, and I told my client, you've been at this desk for 20 years, right? You got your pictures there and you got your little thingy dingies there, right? That makes you comfortable. So take all that and create that safe space in your new place of work. It's very important to take some things with us that make us feel good, and to write maybe some affirmations down of the worth, right? The respect that your ex-colleagues gave to you, and write it down for yourself and see that again and see where you have been and what you have accomplished, and just take that with you. Write it down on a little notepad and look at it in the morning, or make that your morning affirmations. So if you are staying away and you can see that you can have control over that change, you can do some things that are predictable, that are going to deliver a wonderful outcome, and then that's a lot easier, right? There's only two things. You got that huge problem, right? And it's amazing and it's big and you don't think you're going to overcome. So you have anxiety. You're going to have to move to a big, big, big new job. Very, very complicated, a little scary, fearful. Yes, those are very human emotions. But if we can get to the point to where we can control a few things, you're in charge. And then go back to create that morning ritual. And if we have that morning ritual, we can set our mind to, yeah, it's going to be okay today. I'm going to do a little meditation. I'm going to read a little bit, right? So accept the way it is. Acceptance is so important. And then go back to that morning ritual. Set some boundaries for yourself. That's very important. Don't put too much expectations on yourself. And let's just set some really, really, really big moments for yourself, right? Take time for yourself. There's really a thing. that we don't do enough. Really a thing that we don't do enough. So you can plan ahead, you can let go of expectations, set some boundaries, do a morning ritual, and overcome those negative thoughts. Accept what is. Those things are the 5 tips that I want to give you today, and that I hope that you can, I hope it helps. I hope it will help you feel a little bit more in charge. Because feeling in charge and planning ahead and just letting go sometimes helps so much with anxiety. So I hope that helped you today. Give me some feedback. Anytime, communicate. It's easy to find me, elianhaan.com, or there is a link here for a free consultation call. Reach out if you want to talk, and if we can do a free coaching consultation call, right? Tell me what you need, tell me what you need help with. So I'm easy to find, Elian Haan, on social media as well. And I hope that you will tell me if this helps and what else you need, so we can move on from there. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you so much for watching today. Watch Elian's Joy, watch the replay, watch on YouTube, and I will see you next week. Namaste, and make it an amazing day.